years ago. Joining us this morning to talk more about all of this is Rich Rubino, an independent political analyst and the author of the Great American Political Trivia Challenge. Great to have you, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on.
So, Rich, let's talk first about what's been going on over the last couple of days. And we'll start with Saturday. Where does all of this fit into presidential history? What will those history books look like?
Well, I think that, and I'm going to go beyond Saturday, but I think what really happened is that Donald Trump has changed the ideology of the Republican Party. It was not your father's Republican Party. It's not a party that, for example, is the exponents of big business. He has made it more of a blue-collar party, less interventionist overseas, more skeptical of both legal and illegal immigration, and, of course, economic nationalists. You heard that his vice presidential selection of J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is someone who was very critical of NAFTA, for example, or allowing China into the WTO. These were traditional Republican issues. He's really he's the only person in history I can think of who's done this is probably William Jennings Bryan on the Democratic side, who made the Democrat into a more liberal party from its conservative foundings. That's really what I think Trump's legacy is going to be politically.
Well, Rich, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think one person that took the stage last night that surprised a lot of people was the head of the Teamsters Union. What were your thoughts on that?
Yes, absolutely. And the speech that he gave would have been vintage as something you could have heard at a Democratic convention as well. He was very critical of big business. He was very critical of the businesses in general. He's very much pro-union. It shows how Donald Trump has really transmogrified the Republican Party, if you will. This is a party that now applauds when when big businesses criticize. It's a party that, for example, wants more tariffs to protect industries in the United States. It's really something, and I think that if you look at it in history, the only time the Republican Party was really like this was actually in the 1920s. Warren G. Harding and Calvin Coolidge, very similar political platform. Harding actually ran on America First in 1920. Pat Buchanan tried it when he ran in 92 and 96 and had a very similar platform. I think Pat Buchanan is kind of the forefather, if you will, of this very labor-oriented, socially conservative, populist Republican Party.
Rich, there's so much we still don't know, and I think we'll know a lot more next week when Congress meets with the head of the Secret Service. But knowing what we know now about what happened Saturday night, how does this compare to you, I guess, perhaps with President Reagan or attempted assassinations that we have seen in history?
Yes, and there certainly have been attempted assassinations, not only with Reagan, but also Gerald Ford 2 times. One time he was coming out of the State House after meeting with then the young California governor, Jerry Brown, and in both cases his life was saved. But I think that what generally happens is the presidential candidate or the president will get a little bit of a bounce. I think Reagan got about an 8-point bounce after the assassination attempt, in part because of the way that he handled it. He was seen as very heroic in terms of handling it, joking around with the doctors, that type of thing. But I think that at the end of the day, 94% of Democrats voted for Joe Biden last time. 94% of Republicans voted for Donald Trump. I don't see this really kind of shifting the needle one way or the other that much.
Rich Rubino, you are a wealth of knowledge. We enjoyed having you, and we'd love to have you back. Thanks for taking the time to be with us.
I would love to. Thank you so much.
Thank you.